Employee retention credit up to $26,000 per employee, documentation that is needed, and much more, like 0% interest for 6 to 18 months and up to 150, if not 250,000 in the form of business credit cards. You can liquidate the cash out of these and use them for any investments you choose, as well as much more. Hi, this is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business loan broker expert, which is another way of saying I know how to look at documentation, analyze, evaluate it, and connect you with the best lenders and underwriters, the best team, payroll management experts in this space, which I'm assimilated and partnered with. So let me get right into things on this ERC credit that perhaps you've been hearing about but been on the fence on, or you just don't know about it. Maybe you just came about it now. And so this is a program through the Treasury Department that was passed through the CARES Act and a few different thereafter. And this is a fully refundable payroll tax credit that you can receive. That's not a loan, it's not a grant, for being able to retain your employees during the height of the COVID pandemic. And it's issued for quarters of 2020 and 2021, looking back on 2019. So before I go into any documentation, just know that this is something that is running out rather quickly, and you have until April of 2024 or April of 2025. So 2020 calendar year to 2024 on when it expires, and then 2021 to 2025 of April when it would expire. So some of the things you'll need, well, payroll and tax documents is usually what we ask for, and I'll leave information, down below in the description, and that's where you can get started. I'll even leave for you an A to Z video that I created some time ago that many people have watched, and you'll come to a page where you'll be able to click play on that, watch it thoroughly, and then there will be a button underneath that where you can get started. But I would watch it all the way through, or at least if it opens up a new window for the application, which is no cost, no hidden costs on any of that, no application fee. In fact, you can find out how much your business can qualify for right then and there. And what I recommend for most people to have on hand is this documentation, so you have a better, firm understanding of the potential amount that you can recover from all of this, or you can be rewarded for this and you don't have to give it back. That's another addition. And you can use this, put it back into your business as you choose. Just imagine that you've been hurt recently. You're still waiting those transfers away from the whole COVID epidemic, and you need more relief or haven't had enough of it, or you are beyond that, but you're not able to qualify for something else, or you can, but you're going into medium to higher rates, or that's okay if the benefit exceeds the repayment. But just imagine having what you need to already. You could put it back into your business. You don't have to worry about it. In fact, you don't always have to work in your business, but on the outside looking in, you can finally take some time away from your own business and not have to stress about checking in every second on your phone, on the laptop. You can really kick up your feet out in the sand, have that vacation with your family or yourself, and have an adult beverage or whatever you like, and then look out into the sunset as it goes down. Realistically, you can do these things without feeling pressured and feeling like overwhelmed and not knowing who to trust and all that. So payroll and tax documentation, 941 quarterly tax filings, that's what we will need from the IRS when those are done, when you file those. So we'll need to recover those, and there will be about 6 of them. And so they are for certain quarters. So 2020, it is quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. For quarter 1, it's quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. So a total of 6 of them that will need to be uploaded, and it's very safe and secure. Our team will look at these things and make sure we file on your behalf through the IRS. So you don't have to worry about any of that. None of it. And I'll get into some of the qualifications here in a second, in case you're wondering, well, how do I get this up to $26,000? I won't go too much into the mathematics. I love math and systems. That's my thing. But I'll get into some of the qualifications. And again, I'll leave the link down below in the description. So payroll and tax documentations, those quarterly 941s. And on that form, we will want to see all the pages. Usually it's 3 or more. And not just having that front cover, but you can select in a certain box on the right-hand side for what quarter that respectfully is for, that you're filing. And so going through all that and making sure you're not double dipping with the PPP loan, doing the whole 941X amended returns and doing that, we'll go through the process of. But also a payroll summary report, that's a majority of the times what we'll ask for. From March of 2020 through September 30th of 2021, I believe that it is. Should be that. But I won't get into the nitty gritty and all that. But name of the individual that you paid is one thing that we will look for. Gross wages, not net wages on this. The pay period, not for yearly, but per period on that. Kind of think about it as like a year-to-date financial or a balance sheet where you're seeing it per period, per interval, I should say. So these are just some of the things that you need to know. Who's your payroll provider? Who's your provider, I should say. Payroll provider, you can say that too. But who do you work with? Who's established? Who's actually keeping track of that? So you can pull the reports, go into the report section of that. They also call it a payroll journal, in case you were wondering. All right, so let me go away from this and let me get into some of the qualifications. I want to give them to you exactly. I have them up here on my screen. I don't want to miss a specific detail. I do know them by memory, but here's how you qualify for this. And it's, again, running rather quickly. So to get started, look down below. And if you want transparency and communication and from the best, the experts in this, maybe you've heard about it in certain locations, but surely haven't grasped it or are unsure about if they are the right program or platform to work with. And I've seen many of them, and it's not just based on a fee, a success fee. It's more so based on the expertise that comes with it and the communication process on how it flows. And you never want to be pressured to do something you don't want to, but this is going to be most effective for you. It's very streamlined, hassle-free, and these are the best payroll management experts. And if you're wondering if I can just get my own CPA to do it, an accountant, understanding all the PDF payroll tax codes in a huge, about 200 to 300 page PDF, I don't think your accountant wants to do all that, or if they have, they may not know it exactly, and they have to know how to navigate their ways in and out and pull from that PDF and understand how to get you max credit. So that goes the same when I do any kind of funding programs, like when I go for SBA loans, which I do a lot of. I can do FDIC banks, online, offline. I do collateral based. That's another specific section of funding. There is revenue based without collateral, personal funding, uncollateralized or collateralized. Underneath that falls into the realm of startup funding and then building out the foundation of your business. But again, this goes farther than that. I run multiple businesses myself, in case I didn't say that. And I was once in a position where I was suffering, and I know in my younger 20s when I was in a financial logistics position and the company went down under, I had to go back on unemployment benefits and food stamps. I felt very embarrassed at that time. I did. But that was in my younger 20s, post-academics. I went to school, studied, was a Division I soccer player, studied sociology first, then got into the love of chemistry, and then that spiraled down more, even math. And then I loved the chemical engineering part. I did that for a little bit and then transferred into business administration, which I saw the market for. That's why I made that jump. Not to say it was that difficult, but it was just something that I needed to do for the foreseeable future as well. So just wanted to give you a quick rundown of that. Let's get into the qualifications. You are eligible if you had W-2 employees in 2020 or 2021 and any of these three following. Again, I want to make sure, and this is a page you'll likely jump on when I leave it to you down below in the description. If you had a reduction in revenue, for those of you, first of all, I know there's a lot of, hate's a strong word, a lot of resentment towards, well, I'm an employee, I feel like I should be able to have this. So, I mean, that's not how it works. I understand in your position that you need something or some kind of a stimulus, and this you can classify it as a stimulus program through the government, but that's not how this one works. And so just understand like the position you are in your own life and see if there are any additions you can add or make a complete change to. Maybe starting your own business and working for yourself. That'll give you a lot of more room and flexibility to do things. But if you had a reduction in revenue, 50% reduction in 2020, if you had a reduction in your gross receipts in 2020 when comparing to the same quarter in 2019 by at least 50% and or 20% reduction in 2021, if there is a reduction in your gross receipts in 2021 when comparing to the same quarter in 2019 by at least 20%. So that's where that 2019, 2020, and 2021, looking back at that 2019 calendar year comes from. So number two, if your business was impacted by a government, bulletin points here I put for you, required to fully or partially suspend operations tied to governmental orders, inability to obtain critical goods or materials from suppliers, you can say vendors and so forth, and there's others, because they were required to sustain other similar impacts from the government. So Common trend here is if you were impacted by the government, whether it was nominal, severely, a little bit, that's something that you can be rewarded, and it's with having W-2 wages. So it's with one or more of these. You don't have to have all of them. Number 3, and this more so applies to business that was established during and after this period, usually after. So if you started your business after February 15th of 2020, if you did that and had annual gross sales receipts less than $1 million in total, so that would qualify you. But if you were a business before that, you can still qualify. If you have the PPP loan, you can. But that's why we file these 941s and those 941Xs, and being able to understand that you're not double dipping. And there's more to that than just seeing that. But I also have here on this page, if you don't qualify and you want to see alternative funding options up to $2 million and above, or in addition to, incredibly fast from a real expert, by the way. If you are just joining me, I'm an expert business loan broker. It's another way of saying that I'm not just the information guy, or I'm not just the guy spewing marketing stuff. I'm actually somebody who knows how to look at the documents. I'm doing a lot of SBA loans. I've done a lot of them. I know cash flow analysis very well. I know profitability. I know when something looks too good to be true. I know when somebody isn't saying something that they should, maybe because they feel embarrassed about it, and it's okay. I'm not here to judge anybody, but I know the psychology of things. A lot of people just try to find shortcuts. Again, I funded my businesses. I run multiple businesses, guys. I keep track of my finances like a lot of you guys should. And I know what it comes down to. And I'll get into a few of those things in a second. But again, this information down below, I'll also try to link you to it in the bio. Appreciate you. Thank you for the likes and loves, Crystal. Appreciate you. I don't ask for those. I greatly appreciate it. I'm not one for, here, if you follow or you share the room or you give me the likes, and I'm not like that at all. Okay, guys, I miss it and I just don't say it enough. I get it. But the important thing here is that you're getting value from this. And if you have anybody who needs help with their employee retention credit, it doesn't only have to be that. In the addition to it is we can add more funding. Perhaps you tried, maybe you already took the ERC credit and we've spoken. I have a lot of clients who do that with me. And what I care about a lot of people is who they are. I really do. I'm an introvert, so I don't speak a lot. Right now, you see me doing that. I usually blog a lot. You can catch me on my YouTube channel. I know there's a great amount of impact. And I'm also tired of seeing these other YouTubers or other bloggers or other people out there who their information isn't as credible. I don't want to discredit anything, but maybe it isn't up to date. It isn't as factual. And I question certain people who comment in certain videos and they're looking for something that doesn't exist, or somebody doesn't know how to exactly interpret that information. Well, if you didn't have 680 credit, what could you do? Could we look at your highest credit limit on your personal side and even on your business side? And then by looking at a soft pull on your credit, myself and or my team, then we can make a determination of what you can qualify for. So the key benefits of working with us, let me go into that and then I'll go into an alternative and then into the comments. So experienced staff by far with my payroll management team on this. Their expertise is by far, from what I've seen, best to work. And I've seen a lot of these ERC companies sprout. Some of them work well. Others will charge you a lot, which I'll get into that in a moment. But with myself is something also that you can assimilate with, which a lot of people love. Like when they come to me, they know how humble, respectful I am. I really am. It's hard for me to even do this right now. But because, and this will lead into another thing, as a business owner, learning how to market yourself personally and in brand image is best. So I've learned this over many years, and it's still hard for me to appear in a video, but I've learned the skills. And that's the bottom line of this as a business owner, learning your skill set and applying it correctly to your business. And that's also going to help you up here and working on yourself. I'll get into that part in a moment, and you'll see how much of a difference it actually makes. Fast response time from myself and my team included. What I don't want from you, let me just say this, and I want to clear the room, not for being aggressive or negative. Keep this as a tough love type of thing in here. And I like to say this from time to time. Actually, I don't like to, but I have to. And it's better that you hear it. I don't want to be that guy to tell you this, but the truth is that a lot of people are tire kickers. I have a lot of pretenders, a lot of people who do this, and they don't do any of this, which is taking action. And then I have the action takers, or pretenders then become action takers, or action takers then reverse. And so I'm not saying anything bad about a specific person, but I see too many times people are just lazy about it. People just don't want to do something about it. They don't even want to change themselves. It's not only their business that needs changing, or if it's not, it's themselves. And I'll get into that in a moment again. But you get a fast response time with myself and my team, and you want that transparency and communication. I'll be there along the way. If I have to collect documents, if I can request to collect documents from you, and that makes it easier for you, if there's a chance for me to do that, okay. But normally what I have is the person uploading them themselves, and we can get it on our backend and then review it there. And then the filing on your behalf then happens and all that, those steps. And then coming back, I'll go into some of like the time frames. So how does it work? Oh, one more thing. Certified expertise, excuse me. And so that's one part of many of the equation. And I can say a lot more: experience, loyalty, the transparency, the reliability. All these things come into play. And I've worked on this for many years. So how it works in 3 fast and simple steps. You will work directly with our payroll management experts. And I put here best of the best, literally, to step 1, you enter your information. No cost application at all. For those of you wondering out there, I'll get into the fees for that in a second. Enter your information. You'll figure out how much you could get back in literally minutes. It can take you through the whole application process, uploading documents. It could take you at most 8 to 10 to 15 minutes at most. I know others who can blaze through it. They already have the information. And that's for those of you who already have the payroll and tax documents already on hand. Those of you will get through it quickly. That's what I recommend. If you don't have it, you can get through the application. You should get a link from myself and or my team letting you know to go back into the application, or if you needed to restart it. But that's what you want to do. Don't wait on it too long again, because this will be expiring soon. And so you'll find out in literally minutes by answering a few basic questions about your company for free. I've been through it myself. No application costs or hidden fees. Step 2, you file online in minutes. Our safe and secure portal literally allows you to streamline the complex process so you can upload the payroll and tax documents needed to get you the highest amount back possible. And then step 3, you receive your check, you receive your credit. The U.S. Treasury will receive and process your claim and then issue your refund so you can push forward with more confidence and certainty. You don't just have to rely on all these like loans and business credit. I understand that world very, very well. I'm a part of it myself. Not like I need to go take out any more loans, because I've done that in the past. I don't have to rely on that. I know where my position and my businesses are. And if I needed to, I would have enough of a financial track record and pattern recognition to understand that if I took money, whether it was medium to high rates or lower, I know how to use this money very, very well. But here, note, the service charge, it's based on a percentage of credit that is recovered. We calculate and provide our fee with our free analysis. And again, if you're just tuning in, I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I have my landing page here. I'll link it to you guys in the bio. If you guys see the ERC in my link tree, or down below, it'll be in the first link. You can go ahead and learn about what I'm saying here. If there's anything added to, you'll see that. But there'll be a video you can watch, click a button, and go over there and get started for free. No costs again. But make sure that you are committed. I don't want to see no half person doing this and that. You can go through it, and if you don't qualify, that's another thing. But if you qualify and you know you can submit that payroll documentation, and it's another thing to say if you have your 941s. I know not every business owner like keeps track of all of that, or they don't have a team to, but it's time you guys understand those things, not only for funding, but how are you going to understand your numbers and what's coming in and what's going out, your expenses, and what to trim, and how to increase your working capital, how to increase your cash flow, how to do better with profitability instead of just writing off everything and doing this and that. You guys got to understand those, and I know how to read them, so I can translate them for you if you guys need help with that. So we calculate and provide our fee with our free analysis. It's low, and usually you see somewhere around 15% if you pay later, or you can choose 10% if you want to pay up front with that option. Some cases I've seen 20%, but it's not usually as high. If it were to change, it were to change, but it's very low, to be honest, and I'm going to get into that in a second why it is this way. So 10% if you want to pay up front with that option, and that's the fee on the total amount you receive that it comes out of. It's not like you're paying out of your own pocket, out of your own money, your hard-earned money sitting in your accounts, or however you best see. You got to liquidate equitable collateral, all that. So no, you're not worried about that. Other companies out there charge somewhere between 20 to 25%. And again, if I said even if you get a 20%, and not a lot of times, but 20 to 25% is what you see with a lot of these others. And even if they're less, but I'll get into that in a second, but that's higher and it can be less effective. So I've seen companies out there who do charge a higher amount because they have to pay their people. And so they wouldn't be able to justify less, but the amount of work that it takes is another part of the equation you have to factor in. but it can still be a position where you don't get max credit, or they do, but it just wasn't streamlined and it wasn't the best communication, and you don't have that in the door with me. So if you were to work with me, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you understand your fundability details. This goes even beyond. If you're a startup and you can't qualify for this, then there are other options. If you're not a startup and you've been in it for some time, and then what else is there after that? What can you do in the meantime or thereafter? Because it takes some time to get it. It can take about 6 to 8 months to receive your credit. So what are you doing in the meantime? It doesn't have to be solely about funding. It could be about how do you get more leads, because I can help with certain things like that. How do you do this part? How do I look better to a lender or this lender? Those are other parts. So I'll go to the comments here shortly, but it's very competitive, and that's great that you get an up front that you can pay right away. And I'm like, I would probably take advantage of that. And depending on your situation and what you want to see though. Since we typically are able to recover 10 to 20% more than someone less familiar with this program, our fee is very affordable, just like a good CPA. Using the right team with decades of payroll experience for this process will pay for itself. And so you're leveraging somebody's experience, and I'll get into that what it means for other services. So you get higher approval odds by far. It's crazy how much than just going to your own CPA. And they don't maximize, I know, all the complex tax codes. The ERC tax code, it's over 200 pages that come with payroll and so forth. Plus, you have to keep in mind the amount of work it takes for us to fulfill on your behalf and do all of the extensive amount of looking through this documentation and so forth to make sure that this is done right and correctly, so you're not making these mistakes time and time again, wasting your energy and time only to find out you didn't get enough credit or any of it at all. And perhaps you're being taken advantage of in other locations, and they're taking more of their percentage where you could have been earning more. But that's not the whole point of this. Is I'd be happy taking what I could receive, even if it were a 10 to 15%, 10 to 20% fee. It just depends on the right position and who's looking at that documentation and the process. But like this, and I'm going to end up here soon, with anything else, like personal funding, I do a lot of personal loans for business. I do a lot of other types of business funding solutions, equipment financing, SBA, non-collateral. I do it all, literally, and I funded plenty of clients. And those who I haven't funded, I know how to get them in shape to then get funding, depending on getting multiples or one. And the 3 C's that I look for are cash flow, credit, collateral. You either have one of these, 2, or all 3. If you have none, then we look at business credit. Or if you have multiple, we can add business credit through trade credit, vendor credit, fleet credit, store credit, and there's a little bit more that goes with that. So with the other types of services, you'll see those like 15% success fees, or you'll see a 9% success fee depending on the total credit that we were able to recover for you and get you with credit lines, business credit lines, and so forth through business credit cards on those you see. And just like those, you're leveraging an expert team. You could go do this on your own, or for convenience and for not messing it up yourself, you find out that you applied for one credit card you shouldn't have applied to, or you received it and now you're ineligible for another one that if you wouldn't have done it this way, instead you would have done it in a more systematic way, we would have been able to get you that. So it has to make sense for each person. But like I've said, I'm very process, and if I haven't said it, system and automated oriented. And there's places to automate, there are places not to. And so being very cerebral like I am, meticulous, I'm introverted, you want somebody on your team like that. You don't want the person spewing and going into their and and right. It's like I have a big pet peeve for people who say those kinds of things, and in a way of it's like they're masking something else. That's how more so. But I won't be that person. I speak slowly, like you are hearing, but even more, because that information needs to be transmitted to you in a way that you can be able to understand it, be able to regurgitate it either back to me or to yourself, whether it's the first time or the second time. You needed to hear it multiple times. So it's most important you guys understand that about us. Let me go into that section rather quickly, and we'll try to close up here soon. So at Viral Funding Solutions, and this is where you guys can go to as well, viralfundingsolutions.com. Again, you guys get a lot of transparency. You guys can learn why. There's my story. I think it's towards the bottom. I might have an extra. There should be an addition, or if not, I'll add an addition to about myself. You can learn more of. But just being a part with me in my journey as well, you'll understand where I've been, where I'm going, and what I plan to do more so, even longer term into the future. But here at Viral Funding Solutions, we've helped tens upon thousands, a lot more than that, get the ERC credit, and not just ERC credit, but any other types of funding solutions. And I'm a guy who doesn't hide anything. I'm not somebody who pretends to know it all. I know this market in just about every service rather well because I'm in it, and I'm also in meetings with lenders and underwriters, and by far the best that are out there. So with me, you're getting that fact check, like you're fact checking, but you're also checking those boxes where that is something that makes sense. So again, I'm not going to sweet talk you just because you needed to, or you wanted to, or you needed to hear that, and it's in my best interest. I'm not doing that. You guys got to be careful about who you guys hear from. And so ERC, through our exclusive partnership to expert payroll management experts as your go-to destination for ERC, as well as safe and secure alternative small business capital, fast and simple. So if you can't qualify for traditional banking, and there is a realm of that I can work in, especially with business credit cards. But what if the banks don't allow you to get max funding? That's another part. I've had recent clients who try to go through the banks, but they can't liquidate their money or their cash out fast enough. They can't take out what they need to. You've seen what's happened with the whole Silicon Valley Bank debacle, and a few other things out there happening with other banks. So just being somebody who's in a better position to have your accounts or your money in other places and being able to leverage other people's money to make more money. So that's what a lot of people do. That's what I do, in fact. Leverage other people's money for good debt, not bad debt. I don't know how many people think that they should be using their money for bad debt. There's plenty. But if you have a temporary need for that bad credit or that bad use, then do it. But it's only temporarily, and it won't suck up your cash flow or as much. Or if it will, it's like you have to do this to then get more, or then use the 80% of this towards that. So the effect of taking this money, whether it's working capital growth or expansion, this is another topic if you'd like to learn more about, and I'll leave information down below in the bio, a questionnaire you guys can fill out for that. So we funded all types of companies and continue to share our best tips and secrets as well that others are not sharing with you. Other YouTubers out there, people on blogs, in social media and other platforms. And I'm here to help you. Very transparent. If you got to see me in person, you know what you're getting out of me. And I'm very smart about things. I'm very savvy about them. I'm very constructive in feedback, open-minded. Patience is something that I have. Delaying instant gratification, and that's something you learn as an entrepreneur / business owner. So here, the best tips and secrets to getting you funding in multiple ways, one way or more, so you can build, grow, expand, and even get out of a tight pinch. When the banks say no, or at least they say no to you or decline you or just give you a lot less, then we're able to work around that in certain ways if you're not over leveraged. And then in other aspects, say yes. So here I put, it's your money. Go ahead and claim it before it's too late. The ERC credit is projected to be around until 2024. Again, I won't get into the numbers on all that in qualifying quarters, but 2020 and 2021 respectively. Until 2024, if not 2025, but it can literally be closed at any time. Look at what's happened with the EIDL, the 10K grants, the PPP funding, other programs out there. Those come and they go. And even when they come back for a short, limited time. And even if they're around for some time, people are always applying for increases, or they're looking for the start of an application that they can or can't get into. And then that takes some time. So look at what's happened there. For a lot of you who are relying on just this, relying on just grants, relying on finding this whole EIN only business funding. And I made video content on that. In fact, I uploaded one today. I've made other content on it where people are looking for only using their EIN to get business loans. And I go, that's just very rare and hard to get unless you have an extensive amount of experience, cash flow, and you're at the top of the top, and it's still even hard to get those. And you're pledging collateral, business, personal, and it's huge enough and it looks good, and there's more to that. Don't rely on that. Social security numbers are usually asked for in applications and just about anything. So instead of looking at it from that, what are you hiding, if anything? What are you holding back on? What's actually the diagnosis? It could be a bigger problem to that, which could be your credit, which could be other things. And so just understanding that loopholes are not your answer, not your shortcut, that is not the way to go. So look at what's happened with these, gone. And if they came back, when are they coming? That's a question of a lot of things we'll be asking. I'm not going to be sitting around asking questions like that. And you'll lose your reward and chance to put the credit back into your business. Do you want to be that person sitting on your couch, living on the fence, and just looking over the hedge line as well and saying, well, I wonder what's on that side, or I can see it, I wish I were over there. And you're sitting on your couch as well, living this whole entertaining life while you're flipping through the TV. See, you don't want satisfaction of watching the TV for itself. You want the satisfaction of being entertained. You guys understand that? There's a big difference. You don't want to necessarily watch TV, but your brain subconsciously and consciously moves into the rewards of feeling entertained. And I can give you guys a lot of scenarios on all of this and how to re-optimize or optimize that so you have a better, more fulfilling health and relationships and wealth and in many more aspects. So you can lose this reward. You can be sitting on your couch one day, literally flipping through your television or on your little TikTok here, flipping through all these funny videos like I know my parents do, my mom more so than most. Sometimes I get in on her on this. But, and not just her, but there are a lot of people. I've even gone through TikTok a few times, just a few things, but I get out of there quickly. I don't want to be putting my brain and my mind through all of that, even on leisurely time, just for a little bit, not too much. And so you don't want to be that person just flipping over and over like this and just, oh, well, like this, or oh my gosh, oh my God. And I don't even say that. That's out of my vocabulary. And so you don't want to be that person literally thinking those things to yourself and saying, what if? Or are you going to really be the person who says that I did it? And not just saying that I went through an application, but I actually had what I needed to on hand. Or if I didn't, I'm not going to wait on this. Or just shopping around, shipping your information anywhere and everywhere. That's even worse when you're looking for funding. In a solution like that, where they're pulling leads off the credit bureaus like an Experian because they see that you've applied. They can even act on my behalf and pretend to be me. Hi, I'm associated with Michael with Viral Funding, or I'm associated with this organization. Can you just send in the 3 months of bank statements? No. You guys have to understand this stuff. It's very common sense, but sometimes we miss it. And it's sometimes hard to decipher or see. So that pretty much covers it all. I'll leave information down below. Quickly about myself. I put my name here, and in parentheses, the business loan broker expert. And then I put my name, and it kind of like read it in like a third person or second person view. Started like any and every 9-to-5 employee with the dream to become their own boss as a business owner. But not just that, but an actual like business owner and entrepreneur. In the start of my journey and further down the road, I had to figure out the ropes to getting business financing to build, grow, expand, and even get out of a tight pinch. I remember my early days, I wasn't even making a cent, especially in the affiliate space where I was promoting pain relief products. I don't like to use the word selling, but I was out there in the field marketing these supplements, and I was doing a lot of things through proteolytic enzymes, papain. I was using a lot of different natural products and elements and ingredients, and really got myself into using them. And then I still have them. I still have the bottles and stuff. I was helping people out with these kind of ergonomic chairs. I have the ergonomic seat cushion down below here. I have my backrest that I use also as a cushion. So I was helping people in a lot of ways. And then I have run a digital marketing agency in that time frame for health related businesses. And then I got away from that and started doing more and then helping them with their lead generation, because I use those systems to do it for my own. And it was organic, and it was also through paid advertising and in multiple methods. But then I got into other affiliate marketing ventures after I understood using different types of software. I started purchasing courses to see how it would benefit my own businesses, not to just share them and just say, well, I've never used these. So digital marketing agency, affiliate marketing businesses, other ventures. I did a hybrid with e-commerce, but eventually I subsided that. I got back into the whole blogging thing on my affiliate side. Other ventures, of course, and this is one of my primaries now that I work on, and I've been in this industry for some time. So here, going through the struggles of trying to get funding for myself and finding the right source with the right partnership and roadmap, that was a challenge. For many of you, you guys want somebody who knows their stuff, and you guys want it from somebody who won't shortcut you. They might not always say it straight, because I give people the benefit of the doubt. For other things I'm going to give you it straight, whether you like the answer or not. But you have transparency. You have somebody who's really like, oh, I wish I had somebody myself and I was doing all this. Instead of applying, I was applying to different places like a lot of you are or were. And that was no good at all. I hated it. I hated it. And then I got bombarded, and then I didn't know who to trust, who to turn to. And eventually I found a friend of mine who was in the space already, and they guided me in the right direction. So, like a lot of you guys have, I'm kind of like, if you want to call it an angel, I'm not saying that I am that, but if you guys want to call it somebody who's really looking over your shoulder, who's sitting next to you like a friend and a family member, don't pressure anybody to do what they don't want to do. Eventually, I found my way, and after funding my multiple businesses, I then decided to use my own knowledge and expertise to go out there and help others get business funding through the lens of an education-first approach with personalization and a customized business funding. So I want to look at it as, who am I working with? And I'll get into that in a second in character, and this is what I was speaking about earlier. So you wouldn't have to go down the wrong path and making mistakes after mistakes yourself. And that's where Viral Funding Solutions came about, and that's where it was born. And so I have a little bit more information there. But what I mean by that, and I'll close up here, I'll try to go to the comments here in a second. Take what I'm going to say to heart. I don't want any of you looking at this as me being aggressive or negative. Too many times people are out there reading from a prompt. Too many times people are out there like just trying to give you something sweet. And, oh, she's so nice. And, oh, he's so cool. And yes, there's a time and a place for that. I get it. But there has to be a place for you to eventually say, I'm ready. Well, my beliefs are misconstrued. This is where you are, your belief system. This is where your values are. This is where your aspirations are. How do they align? And so these are the things that I look for in clients. These are the things that I look in for people. And I'm not saying this is the only thing I'll look for, and I don't want to accept anybody else. But after time, it's proven to me, and I've worked on myself in personal development, guys. I highly recommend you guys read books. I have a few of them here. I reread a lot of these, actually. I have many, many more here sitting on my desk, many more underneath me, more in my room. I have a bookshelf, a lot of them. And personal development is huge. It's something that's going to take you over or peel around the corner, over the edge, over the fence. And it's something you'll carry on in your personal life. And it'll affect the way you are in your health and your relationships. Not just your wealth, but it affects you in multiple ways. I got caught up with the few words there. And so in multiple ways, and it's huge evidence to me that when I'm working with somebody, the biggest significant differentiating primary and secondary constraints to this. So secondary constraint, and I like to reference that because of my calculus days and chemistry days and so forth. But you have over here this reputation you need to uphold, a brand image in your business. And what most business owners do is only look at this. They only look at their products. They only look at their services. They look at their brand image. They look at how their customers and their employees see them. There could be an intertwine of their personal side. Then over here on this chemical reaction now, so this is the products, let's call it, or let's call it a reactant in the beginning of our stoichiometry equation. So we have our compounds, or we have our single element. So we have our single element here of character, and then we have our single element of reputation. In character, what that means are the personality traits, the aspirations, the beliefs, the values. How are they? Who are they? Their effort, their attitude. Do they have an ego? Are they stubborn? Are they ignorant? Are they cocky? Are they the most humble, respectful person, loyal person? Who are they? That's what I'm trying to dig up from people, because I want to not only get to know somebody, and I don't have to open up myself too much, and you don't, because I'm an introvert. I don't trust people easily. I really don't, because it's proven to me, especially in this field, time and time again, a lot of people, you guys can't be usually trusted. I'm not saying you specifically, but a lot of people who are looking for funding, I'm not just the guy who is going to get you the funding because I do that expertly. But I can also help you in multiple dimensions. It's just people, they don't see that, or when you do see that, you see my story like you kind of heard about here, and you start to put those pieces together of the puzzle, then it starts to sit in a little more and sink in. But what I see in a lot of businesses, and the reason why I've also declined business owners who are doing millions upon millions a month, hundreds upon millions a year, why have I declined them? Can anybody answer me why I've declined them? Like myself, working with them. It isn't because they got declined through an application. That can be, and or, I'll say it, because of the person's character. That's ultimately it. It's like, who do you choose to accept in your circle of influence? in your sphere. Now, if you have problems with these things, it doesn't necessarily mean I won't work with you. It just means you leave that out the door. I'll go to the comments in a second, guys. This was a video about ERC and you're wondering what? Yes, this does still apply to that. So I'll close up here. I'm trying not to make this video too long as I'll have it likely uploaded on YouTube. But this is kind of some extra material that you don't hear enough about. And I can go even deeper, but I'm not going to. There's a lot more. Just understand that I've worked on these things, and a lot of business owners just need to make that tweak. You got a wrench, you got a tool bit, you got to put something into the car, move it, screw it in, screw it out, air filters, boom, change it, new one. These are things you guys got to know. And if you're not the one who does that, then have somebody in a better position to. So when I speak to them, even if it is you, we're not clashing. You're not giving me friction. There's resistance and friction at some point because we're trying to get through a few things, but you're not causing me this all the time. And I don't want to get that. I don't need that. My team doesn't need that. My reputation doesn't need that. So character, that continues to evolve every single day, working on these things. So making sure you're not as stubborn. If you are, like I said, you leave these things out the door. And these are reasons why I've declined taking on business owners. I don't care if you're doing 100 million. I don't care if you're doing 200 million a month. What matters to me is the person. Does that make sense? So before I go to the comments and close up here, just working on these elemental ground pieces, they make a big difference. So saying something versus doing it. Don't say something you can't take action on. Your word is your bond. At least that's how I grew up. I don't know how many of you guys grew up that way. I grew up with the right ethics, not poor by any means, but more middle to then moving up a little bit more middle class. And my family didn't come from that background. I'm Salvadorian Mexican American. I grew up in Orange County, California. I live in Washington now, just on the border of Oregon, but in Washington on the other side of the border there. And so I wasn't given everything. It's like I had to work for things too. I had to work to become a Division I soccer player. Like I wasn't gifted athletics. Like look at me, I'm not built. You guys need me to show you my stomach? I won't do that. It's unprofessional. Not in this setting. But I didn't grow up with the right genetics. I got to work for it. But what separated me apart from everybody else is my attitude and my effort. It's this, the passion, the heart. I've had more heart than more people. And when their skills or their talents didn't take them far enough, I knew why that wasn't it. Because they didn't have the passion or the heart. And where I had to work on these things, then over exceeding now at that point, because I worked on them and very intelligently. I didn't look at myself as like somebody better than anybody. I looked at myself as somebody who was willing to outwork and outsmart people. And that's what I did. I was in the hardest position as a soccer player, in the center midfield position, attacking center mid. And then I became a holding center midfield through my college days and more, going even higher levels than that. And so what I learned from that was just to observe. I was very observant, and I still am very, and just looking at things where I don't have to run as much, but I knew where I had to be. I knew where the ball was going to be before it got there. I knew where my teammates were, how to put them in better position to do things. And it was just very me being cognizant and thoughtful, predictive, and not just always assuming something that wasn't certain, but getting those things out. So I want to go to the comments. I hope you guys get a good amount of extra information. You stick through me on this, but let me go to the comments. 1 second. I think I have to scroll through a lot because, I don't like doing that. And then sometimes it shows me who joins and who doesn't. I can't necessarily, well, it depends. If it's business credit cards, that's different. Then more so we can. And we can also show you what to put on an application and how to go through those. But for a lot of funding and other types of funding, that's stuff that, there's actually some. Okay, then there's some new ones that came up that I have done for clients. There's some SBA ones too, where I've been able to fill them out. I know if I have my own generated application or through an organization, a lot of the times the client can fill that out themselves and or myself, but it's usually the client. We'll say that. There's some applications where I can fill it out on their behalf, but I normally don't like to do it. I gather the information before anything. I need to know for sure specifics, but the reason why I have the client fill those applications out themselves is because they understand their business more than I do. So if there's something that you didn't tell me but you left out and you needed to put it in this note section, That's what you want to do. And that's why I leave it always up to the client. And you only understand your finances. I could have looked at the bank statements and all that already and told you these things. I even have clients who don't even know what they're generating in revenue. I have clients who don't even know what their depositing is, don't even know how to read their own statements, which is fine. But at the same time, like, how do you not know what's going in and out of your business? You're just working hard. And that might be working. That might be the formula, but it's usually not. So just understanding those things go a long ways. I have to scroll through all of these joined, so give me 1 second. That's my laptop. I want to make sure that the light comes through so it's not too dark. I don't think it made much of a difference though, just now. And I appreciate you for being here and saying that. It doesn't have to be said, but I do appreciate you too. Thank you. And I hope you took a little sliver of that or just the whole enchilada with you and it resonates. I hope anybody in here watching now or later, it resonates because I'm very serious about what I do and very energy and time efficient, like very punctual and disciplined. I won't be military, like pushing anybody to do something, but there's expectations to things. And if you just submit something with me and there's never feedback, there's never any kind of open-mindedness or any kind of patience or what do you expect to happen? You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what do I expect from myself? What realistically do I expect? Am I willing to open up about those? Yes. You're trying to get more funding for your consulting business and you've been an owner for 2 years? Nice. How's all that been going for you? Are you enjoying it? Do you have enough clientele? Let me read through this. Perhaps you commented again. You are most welcome. So for your business, and I know you said more there. I saw it earlier. There's so many different options. You have 2 years time in business. I'd want to know revenue. I don't have to give me that right now. That's why I have the questionnaire down below. And I can ask even more deeper questions to all that. Depositing, types of depositing frequency, what kind of money's going into the accounts. So I can better prepare myself with the right lender. And whether it'll work or not. So that information is dependent on fundability. That depends on your time in business, your revenue, your credit, personal and or business. And it depends on usually these three: credit, cash flow, collateral. You either have one, two, or all three. And or you have business credit, vendor credit, or you work on that. And there are different fundamentals. But we can usually add personal on top of business. It just depends on when we do a soft pull on your credit, what is already showing. And depending on the type of service we go into, so we can add a combination of things. But be very careful. I made this video today. I have to go actually into the description and put some tags on the video. But I spoke about how too many people who have the credit don't get approved because they have too many recent inquiries. And it could just be inquiries that are soft, guys. It really is the number one decision that I've seen amongst a lot of applicants that don't get approved. And then we work on that. And we work around it, or we work through it mostly. That's what we do. We go through it the majority of the time. And having too many recent inquiries, it seems like you're applying anywhere and everywhere without knowing what you're actually doing. That does not look good at all. And whether it was for that type of funding service or not. And then you have too many recent open accounts, newest trade lines that we're not looking at entirely. We want at least 5 trade lines. But there's quite a few, and I'll give you guys an example right now of one that I received notification on. And this is just one of many. Just declined for too many recent inquiries. They might have a profile that doesn't look up to shape. Maybe, in other words, it's too young. And then we can determine that, myself and my team, from looking at the polls and all that they were just opened. And then when were they opened? So if they're just too recent of an addition, that won't work for a lot of these lenders. And I work with the best in this space. I'll go for about 2 more minutes. Again, I don't want to keep this video too long. I want to upload it to the YouTube channel. If you guys want to watch the replay, it'll be there. Again, full transparency with me. I'm not here to waste nobody's energy and time. I'm not a glorified just referral partner. There are ways of doing that that makes most sense. And then I have those direct lenders, indirect lenders underneath the brokerage, but I already have those partnerships. And we just go pull from and understand which one's best for you. But be very cautious about who's giving you that information. People who are actually an expert in this space, not just sending you to a link down below and because you've heard of them and it sounds good. And you're like, oh yeah, and only, I don't have to supply social security number. Oh man, this sounds good. This presentation was good. So I don't base it off presentation. I base it off or video production. My stuff is authentic. Can I create that stuff and buy it? Yeah, of course I can. But I want it to be as authentic as possible. And even if it's just this or on a screen or on a specific laptop that it's not up to your aptitude, doesn't mean it's bad or that there's something I'm hiding. No, I'm not. And I've told people time and time again, I want to do this for some time. I may change it, but I like to be as authentic as possible. Of course, I can afford these things, but it's not about money. It's not about spending and overspending on these things. It's about making sure you guys get the information across and getting the most amount of information, actually hearing what isn't being said as well, because I do a lot of that. Inferring and reading between the line. You guys get that with my content. So when I don't want to say it and I don't want to be that person to tell you, just read between the lines and don't put me in a position like that that's uncomfortable, because that's not my values. Those are not my aspirations. That's putting me in a position of greater danger, I guess you can use the word. So be careful about those things. I'm willing to grow because you grow in your uncomfort zone, but I'm not saying put me in an uncomfortable zone where that's not where I'll grow. It's actually taking me in a ineffective way where it just is like, okay, that's not me, and nobody should be doing that. So there are cases to be made for those. Nice. Thank you for your service. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And I'm always grateful and thankful. None of that I take ever for granted. I pray every day. I pray to people, and I pray for those who have passed, who are no longer physically with us, and people that I miss greatly. But, these are things that I am very, again, thoughtful of. It's just not your everyday person when you come and see me or you speak with me, because I've learned these things and I've learned how to slow down time for myself and be more appreciative when I even eat a meal. I'm always like thinking and I'm praying and I'm like, don't put a TV around me. We can have people around me. I'll be probably the most quiet one when I'm eating because I'm in there just so in my head thinking about how this could be my last meal. You never know. And how even if it's not my favorite meal, it's like I have a meal that I get to eat today. Like how many people can you say out in the world don't even get a loaf of bread, who don't even, how many people before us. And so I always say thank you, and thank you, please, before I have this meal, thank you for nourishing me, and please let it nourish my mind, my body, my spirit. Please bring in my, people who have passed, let them enjoy this with me. I know how weird that sounds, but it's like, let them have a piece of this with me as well. Because I know how happy they were when they were having that kind of meal. And I know how that sounds, but it's like, through me, I want you guys to also enjoy this kind of stuff, because if I were in that position and people who I was very thankful for that I've lost, and a lot of family members, and it's just an area where I just want to be very thankful for and never want to leave those people, and they're always by our side no matter what. But yes, getting your business organized, how much of it have you put together? There are quite a few. SBA too, especially with the 8A mentoring program. That's one where I would look at. I wouldn't say so much of the community advantage. There's the microloans, but to classify it as veteran-owned business and there's only a specific type of loan, I wouldn't say so. They're kind of intertwined again. So even when people ask for women-owned businesses, yeah, there's some more, maybe in a grant-specific field. But when we're talking about women-owned, minority-owned, whatever it is, Hispanic-owned, then we can talk about that encompassing all. Again, guys, what you guys get through me, I don't speak it as much. you guys see it here, but just know, full transparency with me. Loyalty. I'm not up to no good or baiting and switching you. I hate those people. Okay, let's leave this open for about another minute. The replay should be up on YouTube in case you guys want to watch it. One more minute though. If I did miss anybody, I do apologize sincerely. I do apologize. Appreciate that. Thank you for the hearts. And if you guys did share the live, I don't think I've seen that. Greatly appreciate you for doing so. I don't always ask for it. Not a lot of people are wanting to learn about, how to educate themselves first, or how to become the person, because you need to become the person first to become the person in your business. I know a lot of you guys have to look into the mirror to do that, but that's the evolution of it. That's what I had to do. Why were my business going where I wanted it to? Because I wasn't going where I wanted to go. That's the reason why. It wasn't because the business didn't work. It wasn't the systems. It wasn't because I didn't educate myself and I didn't build this strong enough. Until I realized that, I got into masterminds. I got into a lot of stuff, building myself as a person. And that's ultimately it. And it's not only for business. It's for everything else in life. It'll improve every aspect of it. And so that's where I want to leave it at. Okay, everybody. I think I will get going. Appreciate you guys. Bio. Description down below for all information to get started. Fill out that questionnaire if you haven't. That's where I would begin. The ERC credit, as that was the main priority of this video, that'll be linked to you down below in the description. Go ahead and click usually the first link it should be, or in the bio link tree if there is one. Then you should be able to go to the ERC credit, learn more about it. If you have any questions, you can ask me, and I'll be able to answer them rightfully. And again, you can get started on that. Watch that A to Z video. You can click the button underneath that or somewhere in that page. Takes you to the application. You can even hear me on the video going over things while you're actually going through the application sequence if that lets you, and or pause. But make sure you understand that you have to have those documents that I listed earlier. And there's a little bit more depending on the case and the file that we may ask for or might change. So just keep that on the back of your mind. If there's any extra documentation we ask for, it'll be full transparency. Okay, everybody. Appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in. All information will be there to begin with. And I will talk to you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.